Dear Brazilian congressmen and congresswomen, dear farmers, mining, logging unions, and dear international food companies and banks in any way involved in Amazon operations. The congresswomen voting for opening up the Amazon for destruction, which will no doubt, knowing all the knowledge of the past 50 years, bring disease, violence, suffering, and extinction to many of the 500, many are very small, indigenous tribes in the Amazon region. It will also destroy the Amazon as an ecosystem, as explained in September 2021 at the IUCN World Congress in Marseille under the patronage of French President Macron, representing 1,700 state bodies and scientific institutions and civil society organizations, because the ecosystem of the Amazon has already been deforested by 17% and the tipping point is affirmed at 20 to 25% of deforestation, which will destroy the entire ecosystem and, of course, all its inhabitants. This means that any further opening up of the Amazon and intrusion by groups disrespectful of nature and humans constitutes, by international law, we are in the year 2021, not 1492. By international law, it constitutes a crime of genocide. And it has been long prepared, has been documented and laid out by documents of APIB, already submitted as representatives of the Indigenous Peoples of Amazonia to the International Criminal Court over the past 2 years. An international crime of genocide is personal. This means that the congresswomen voting for this bill are personally liable for a crime of genocide by evoking it. This means that these congresswomen voting on that bill and for it are liable to prosecution at the International Criminal Court for the rest of their existence on Earth. For the rest of their life, this sword will hang over your head for 27 years in prison and all your company and personal assets seized. This is international law since 1945 and the Nuremberg trials. This also applies to those facilitating the genocide. This means, back in 1945, also the top CEOs of ThyssenKrupp, steel manufacturer of Germany, were on trial because they manufactured and supplied the wagons with which people were deported to the death camps. In today's world, it means investors, banks, and of course the food companies that distribute the beef produced in the Amazon to the Brazilian market, as well as to international markets. And of course, it refers to the farmer associations that are aggressively moving into the Amazon, to the cattle rancher associations aggressively moving into the Amazon, to all the mining companies and small miners associations aggressively moving into the Amazon, and of course to the logging companies and the loggers associations aggressively moving into the Amazon. They are all part of genocide. It is a very serious thing. So we warn you, because the lawsuit is already filed with the International Criminal Court, but it will of course be aggravated if you now act on further dissolution of native land rights, and so on. That means this is your last chance to not, for the rest of your life, get hunted as a perpetrator of genocide. Because if now you say no, and if now you start establishing protection of Amazonia and its animal and human inhabitants, well, in German it's called mildernde Umstände could get applied. Soothing circumstances, because you show very good will, and then the verdict may be less harsh on you. And if you get very, very, very lucky, you will not go to prison at all. But for that, you really have to get your shit together and totally say no to any further intrusion into the Amazon. You will have to heed what's been decided in Motion 043 at the World Congress of IUCN, which also happened to coincide with the World Summit of Indigenous People, where many international organizations have launched a campaign to protect 80% of the Amazon by 2025, so that the tipping point of 20% deforestation never be breached. With all the knowledge that is available to you, and this is not a new matter, but it's been all over the media, all over governments for the past 5, 10, 20 years. Greta Thunberg, Fridays for Future, and a whole lot of others have made sure that climate catastrophe and all the destruction of the international world with the Millennium Ecosystem Assessment and other grand United Nations studies on insecticide and others have been on everybody's table. Not a single person that lives in a city can today say that they don't know. That means everybody is liable, and those in decision-making positions in government and industry are, of course, more liable because you have more influence. So this is it. I am personally going to support every call to put you on trial for genocide as long as I live and as long as you live, plus call for 100% divestment from Brazil, plus no more support for the bloody football team, plus no more tourists going to Brazil, and whatever can be done to shame a regime that does work no different from the racist apartheid regime of South Africa, which was shamed and divested by the global community and then dissolved. This said, stand with Amazonia.